I got a nice surprise when I discovered that Alex Sharp was in this film, The Hustle. He and I had previously worked together, and I had no idea he was even in this film until I saw his face on the screen. It's so nice to see him moving on to bigger projects, but his surprise appearance in this film was about the only positive thing I took away from it. It's time to talk about The Hustle. Hey up guys! So today's film I'm reviewing is The Hustle, which is a modern day female-driven version of the 1988 comedy caper Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. That film starred Steve Martin and Michael Caine as a pair of con artists wagering to see who could dupe an American heiress out of $50,000, but because this is 2019 and every film needs a female reboot, this interpretation flips the gender roles on its head and it sees Anne Hathaway and Rebel Wilson dueling out to see who can con $500,000 out of a young entrepreneurial app designer called Thomas, who's played by Alex Sharp. Anne Hathaway is the lavish, regal old pro Josephine, and Rebel Wilson is the curvy, catfishing rookie called Penny. There was definitely potential for comedy given the blatant juxtaposition of their polar opposite characters, but that was not the case with this film. The Hustle is a mess. It never knows what note it's trying to hit. It's a complete farce, and not in a good way. It's so slapstick to the point where it borders on juvenile. The script for this film is atrocious, and I'm not saying that to be mean, it really is just so painfully unfunny in places. I wish I could say this was one of those films where, even though the script was abysmal, the two leading ladies in it managed to salvage it and make it entertaining, but I can't even say that. There was absolutely no comedic chemistry between Anne Hathaway and Rebel Wilson. Personally, I think Anne Hathaway gave a better performance, even though I know a lot of people are probably going to think her English accent is horrendously garish and just, oh darling, yes, cup of tea, crumpets. Yes, it was a bit comically exaggerated, but it kind of did match the zany tone of the film, so I give her props for sticking to it and committing. Rebel Wilson, though, is just Rebel Wilson doing her Rebel Wilson shtick. And at this point in her career, it feels like she's really coasting on her charisma. I mean, she did have a few moments which made me chuckle, like there was a scene where she was hiding in some rubbish, and also she gets some great physical comedy when she's pretending to be blind in one scene. But after about 30 minutes into this film, I just felt her performance was way too familiar and it was very repetitive, and it just got old really quickly. There are scenes in this film which are completely unnecessary and pointless. Like, there's a scene where Rebel Wilson's character goes into a bathroom stall on a plane with this guy that Anne Hathaway's character had conned earlier in the film. And what happens in this scene? Literally nothing. Nothing that affects the narrative in any way. What do they do in this scene? They have sex. Just because. There's no rhyme or logic or reason to it. It's just a cheap gag, and it didn't work. Why was this in here? Did this guy that she had sex with in the toilet come back into the story at any point? No! There's also this scene about a third of the way into the film where the two con artists are working together, and the con involves, if you marry me, you have to marry my crazy sister. And this whole skit is just, it's so unfunny and just so poorly executed. It's just like, who on earth thought this was funny? Did the actors not sense on set when they were shooting this how painfully unfunny this was? It was just an excuse for Rebel Wilson to put on some fake teeth and act like a loon. It was just so cringe. How this made it into the final cut is just, it's shameful, really. Also, the technical elements of this film were not up to scratch. Like, the editing in this film was very choppy in places. There were scenes where, like, characters were talking to each other and clearly some bits had been taken out, and like the position of the characters kept changing frame to frame, so the continuity was awful. The direction from Chris Addison was passable, but nothing to praise. One thing that I will say that I did enjoy about this film was the opening animated title credits. I thought that was done very well. It was a nice, charming way to open the film. It just sucks though that the rest of the film sucked. Right, so let's ask those three questions. Firstly, would I watch this again? Nope. Simple enough, I would not see this again. Question number two, do I recommend it for you guys? Nope, this film is a mess. I mean, there's no chemistry between the characters, the script is just abysmal. The directing and editing I had issues with, and you know, I can forgive things like that if the film was actually funny, but there was only like a couple moments where I really chuckled, and the rest of the jokes just sort of fell flat. So yeah, no, I would not recommend this one. Watch it on a plane. It's very much a movie to pass the time on a plane. And what score do I give it out of 10? I'm going to give The Hustle a score of 2 out of 10. There we go, guys. That is my review of The Hustle. I don't know why you'd want to go see this film, but if you have seen it, be sure to let me know what you thought of it in that comment section down below. If you guys like my content, want to help us out, make sure to hit that like button, or if you haven't already, click subscribe. And if you guys want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram, you can find all my social media links in that video description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. For more things related to movies, TV, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Airfield, and I'll see you next time.